It's like it's not humanly possible to do that. Even if you sit up 24/7, how much are you going to do, right?
Exactly. I mean, we're still like how much? Like the quantity. But
Yeah, but at least to me, dude, it's very scary. It's sometimes you lose sleep at night, It's like, and then wake up suddenly like cold sweats in the middle of the night. Like, what am I doing? Kind of.
They won because they had a massively good team. When even Messi didn't score, they still won.
And then what you get back is what you get back. Like you can't do much with that. Welcome back to the It's Rendering podcast. I'm Daniel.
I'm Arayan.
And we'll be talking about crafting thoughtful experiences. And so we've got one of the OGs today. NEM wouldn't be NEM without Arayan. And we started off not as a team. We started off, I think, working with projects, right? Not knowing where this would end up.
Exactly.
And this is where we are today.
Right.
You're wearing something made by a teammate as well, I noticed.
Yeah, so I mean, the fun part about this podcast right now is like, I mean, we're just not doing a podcast, but then it was amazing to be here, first of all. And then, I mean, to meet everyone. But then, amazing merch, man. We never knew that this was all planned by Daniel and the team. So, I mean, there are stories to share, but maybe not now, but then sometime later. But then, it's amazing, just like how we talked about this and plenty of other stuff. But then we can get to that later. But also, with the intro that you gave me, Daniel, I mean, that's a lot to take. But then I'm happy to work with NEM. It's been a pleasure. And this place is amazing as well, So I'm like totally thankful. And just enjoying my life, just enjoying this day out here.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying as well because like thinking of where we were, what was it, this is 2023, right? So 2022, beginning of 2022 was when I got in touch with like, oh, hey, there's a project thing. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Right. I remember I was taking a few guest lectures and I was like, I don't know anyone else. And I was like, okay, let's reach out to Arayan.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know, what was that like for you? Because I know my side of things, right? Because it was very much in flux.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, like, it's a difficult story to, share as well right now. But then I was at a difficult situation, whereas like I had some things going on personally in my life, and then I didn't have a job at the moment. So I was obviously looking for work, and then I did talk to Daniel, like, could you help me get some contacts or help me get in touch with people who could help me out? So that was the thing that was going on, and there was nothing as such because you remember clearly, right? Nothing was working out. So it had been almost a few months, like couple of months, and then all of a sudden when I was so much in despair, like, what am I doing? I'm just waking up. I'm just, living my life, having my food and sleeping, nothing else. So all of a sudden a call comes up and he's like, dude, there's someone from the UK, it's not even India, it's UK. So I'm like, what? And then it's like, it's a podcast. And I'm like, oh, I've never done a podcast, but I've worked with audio. I think I can do it. So I was like, yeah, let's try it. And that's how it got started. And we are here now, which is amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean, the closest I'd ever gotten to a podcast, like working on a podcast, has been talk shows, right?
Yeah.
But that, not realizing that there's so much else that goes into the podcast world, right? And at that point, it was just like, okay, let's just pray, trust, and move on.
Exactly.
Like we were talking about yesterday, confidence, right? Even it's contagious. You have to have confidence.
Right.
And I think even putting to the portfolio, pitching for all of that, just thinking that, this is probably a 3-month thing.
Yeah.
And
we never knew what it would come to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, and then we're here, end of 20.
Yeah. And the best part about this is like, we started with like 3 people, right? And right now, there were so many people who came in between. If you count them, it's going to be more than 15, I think.
For sure.
But then now, I mean, we're still, like how much, like, the quantity. But
12.
Yeah, 12 people. So that's great, man. Like where we started from. And we did over like how many, like 3 podcasts in a year.
Yeah.
Not exactly a year, a little more, but then 3 podcasts in a year. And then not just that, but then we were handling so many other things. So it's great, like what we've achieved in a year. And things like this, like what I learned from NEM, what I've learned from working with NEM is that, if I were to do these things alone, it would have taken me like years and years to just complete one particular podcast. Right?
Yeah.
So, but working with a team, there are so many things you can do parallelly.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can achieve so much more. And sometimes, I just wonder, like, we are not a big team, as in like we're not a team of like 500 people or such, right? Comparing ourselves to big corporate and stuff. But then still, we've achieved so much as a team that's just like 10 to 12 people, right? And then that's a massive achievement. So, I mean, hats off to that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, knowing myself, it was always like, okay, let's figure out, life on your own and, there be this one-man army kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way. Like, there's so much you learn also, right? It's not just like, okay, I could do so much more now. I can think about so much more now. I can have so many different perspectives that I never knew existed also earlier. And, like, we're talking about how we've faced challenges also. It's not smooth sailing, but then the challenges have helped us grow to next steps all the time, right? It has been so, I don't know, I'm grateful for it, but it's also been so rewarding at times.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're going through the challenges, it's like,
Yeah,
dude,
it's like
I
you want to
really-
quit.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
I
you want to
really-
run away. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to do this. Like,
Right.
what on earth are you doing?
Yeah.
There's also that frustrating part, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes where things don't work out for you properly.
Right.
Because I'm just thinking about the podcast side of things,
Yeah.
because that's how we started,
Mhm.
pretty much working together, and the audio side of things,
Mhm.
because you have very little control
Exactly.
sometimes, and then I don't know how do you deal with that kind of,
Mhm.
because for me it's like, it's always like, okay, yeah, sure, there's some effect,
Yeah.
someone will figure it out,
Right.
but then as someone who's actually
Um,
working on audio,
Yeah, I
You-
mean, at times you can just cry over it for a while, and then like if you have teammates, tell them or ask them for help. Like people working the same field. For me, I call Cyril, and Cyril is a teammate. Like who works in our team. So I would generally go to Cyril, and I would say like, dude, can we figure this out?
this
So
was before Cyril actually joined in as a full
Okay.
part of the team, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
if we go, like back. So going back to what I said, you can just cry over it for a while. Try to think hard, and then there have been times, man, where I've like just like scratched my head and like like why am I even doing this? But what I've learned from Daniel and what I learned from NEM is that no matter what the problem is, there's always a solution, and there's always a way to it. So like if you can't go through this way, you go the other way, and I think that's how we overcome problems, and that's how we've overcome problems until now, because we've made massive blunders at time, I think. But
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
but we've overcome it. Right.
Cyril laughing in the background, yeah, but
So
yeah,
I mean, I think it's not just us that happens, but yeah.
yeah. But part of the blood
Part
is
of the
that we're
process.
laughing about it now, right?
Yeah,
At that
yeah,
time,
yeah,
we're like,
yeah.
dude, this is it
We
for
were in
us.
panic
We are
mode.
out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it also comes down to like doing the best that you can.
the
right?
best that you can,
You've
yeah.
never I'm just speaking
Mm.
from what I know about you. You've never given up.
Mm-hmm.
Like there've been times like we've been on a call with the client and said like, oh, this should be this way, or little
Mhm.
bit here, little bit there,
Yeah.
and you have no control over it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you get back is what you get back. Like you can't do much with that, with whatever audio files and stuff like that.
Right.
No, I'm just thinking about people who might be dealing with this, right?
Mhm.
Like we've gotten there, we've figured it out,
Yeah.
kind of, or figuring it out. I don't know what
Mhm.
you'd say.
Both of it,
But-
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a learning
Yeah.
process kind of thing. So I don't know, how would you do that? Because you still have to give them or do the best that you can. And it's not just do the best that you can.
Mhm.
You're also competing at a global, like you said, UK, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't even India. You're
Yeah.
competing at a global level
Mhm.
with people who do so much more and kind of
right.
thing. So at least to me, dude, it's very scary. It's sometimes like,
Yeah,
you
it
sleep
is.
at night,
Yeah.
It's like,
True.
and then wake up suddenly like cold sweats in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? Kind of.
Okay, this is what
Yeah.
Daniel does at night.
Yeah. That's why I'm never asleep right
Um,
now.
yeah. Now it all makes sense. Now it all like it's all coming down. Anyway, I mean, how I deal with this is so basically like you try first of all, and then you see what are the solutions. If things don't work out at all, which I used to do earlier, was I used to try even harder. But then the time span, like the deadline is coming nearer and the time is passing, but then you can't help, right? So I used to struggle a lot, and there's so much stress upon you. But then lately, I think
Is
yeah.
that where the white hair is coming from?
I do not know that, but
Sorry,
getting to the point. Yeah, getting to the point. So yeah, there was I think a few meetings earlier. Like I mean, in the earlier phase of NEM, when Daniel used to tell us like like let's share. If you have a burden, let's share it. Let's try to figure it out together. So when I like thought to myself that I can't do this on my own, let's ask somebody else for help. So that's how Cyril came in as well into the picture, I think, because it was too much for me. So we started outsourcing work. We started asking people to join us, and then things become easier when you share the burden. So I mean, that's how it has been for me. As in, like you try first of all, and then if you can't, you share the burden. If you can't at all, then you see there's always a different solution, right? You can always like figure it out as a team rather than trying to do things on your own.
Yeah.
So that's how I figured it out until now.
Yeah. Like you said, like it was not just one podcast. You were working on 3 podcasts, and it was like 3 episodes, and sometimes more than 3 episodes a week.
Yeah,
that you had
sometimes
to
even more.
deliver.
Yeah,
It's like it's not humanly possible to do
Right,
that. Even
right.
if you sit up 24/7,
Mhm.
how much are you going to do, right?
exactly.
And then at that point you're like, dude, how do I do this? But
Yeah.
then that's where the team part of it, like you said, like,
That's where the team comes in, and I believe that the team aspect is the most important one, because like even when you look at football, it's like I mean there have been World Cups when Messi has reached the final or the semi-finals, but then the reason they always lost is because they never had a good team.
For
But then right now, the 2023 or 2022, I do not remember, but the last
Good,
World Cup
yeah.
that we had at Qatar, they won because they had a massively good team. When even Messi didn't score, they still won.
Yeah,
So
right.
you need a team, and
Yeah.
that's the importance of a team.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you must remember the Brazil. Should not be bringing this up,
Okay.
but Brazil thrashing by Germany, right? 7-1.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
remember.
I remember the headline the day before that.
Uh-huh.
It said the best team versus the best players.
Right. Yeah.
And then eventually what happened? The
it
best
was a
team
massive
won,
loss.
right? They won the
Yeah.
World Cup.
Yeah,
right?
that's how it is.
Yeah. Well, maintaining the team is also like difficult because I mean, after that, what have they been? They've not
Mhm.
achieved pretty much.
Right,
nothing.
right.
No hate to the Germans, but I'm just saying, right?
Makes sense.
So, at least for you also, because working with the team, I think for me it was very challenging, and
Yeah.
then getting to know people, getting to know you.
Mhm.
Like I knew you before we actually started working
Right,
together,
right.
but
But
then
it's
working
different.
together,
It's
the
really
dynamics
different,
change, right? So that's another
Yeah.
angle that comes in
Mhm.
completely. And I don't know what that was like for you, kind of.
Okay.
But then for me, it was like, okay, it's
yeah.
sometimes challenging also because
It is
even with
challenging.
some clients, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I've probably spoken to you before, or
Mhm.
you kind of know who we
Mhm.
are, or you know Aryan that way, or
Yeah.
Daniel, and so then it changes the equation a little bit, and it's scary also sometimes.
Mhm.
You know,
It is,
I had
it
this
is.
policy thing. I don't know if you know this, but
Okay.
do not work with or for friends and family. you know.
Yeah, I do remember you
But
telling that.
I like I don't know how you feel about this, but every single person on the team has ended up becoming a friend.
yeah, true.
Right?
Absolutely true. I agree
So
with that.
that's made such a big difference, right? Because you were
True.
talking about planning all of the merch and everything.
Yeah,
right? It's not possible to do this alone.
yeah,
It's not possible to do this alone. Everyone pitched in,
Yeah.
and everyone.
Can you break down a little? I know you're sharing about
Yeah.
it, but can you break down a little on how this all came together?
Yeah. So okay. So you're wearing a badge right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's got the caricature of your
Yeah.
face thing. So that was done by someone else,
Mhm.
right? And it was not even like, okay, do this kind of. It was
Okay.
just like, okay, I'm going to do it voluntarily, right? People stepping up and be like, oh, I want to do
Mhm.
this for the rest of the team.
yeah,
I want to
yeah.
do this for people.
Yeah.
This actually care.
Which makes it more interesting.
Exactly.
Because people are putting passion into it.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference, right? It's like,
Mhm.
they say the secret ingredient of a great meal at home,
Yeah.
because why is his mom's cooking always look
Yeah.
and taste the best?
Yeah.
Because of love,
Yeah.
right? It's
So
like,
this also shows that everyone in anime is happy. I don't want to interrupt you, but just the fact that everybody is
don't know.
putting
I
the
don't know.
extra time, the extra effort and passion into it, I believe that everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
yeah, hopefully. That's what, I'm the wrong person to ask because I don't know if everyone's going to be frank about it.
Right. Now we need to take a survey.
Yeah. I mean, we did do I sent out a Google form or something
Yeah, you
recently,
did. You did.
right?
Few
Because
months
I
ago,
need
yeah.
reality checks also, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes, and that's the thing for
Right.
everyone.
Right.
But that's where the team
Yeah.
plays a huge part in who we all are.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't be the person, nor would you be the person you are without the rest of the team in play.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
like using even for both you and Cyril, because Cyril's names come up, right?
Yeah.
And just having bouncing boards
Yeah.
there, right? So sounding boards
Mhm.
there with the same kind of group
Mhm.
has been very interesting. It's like
Yeah.
you see two very different sides of the coin. you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you were very surprised by the amount of merch that came out the other night.
Absolutely,
So-
man. I was like, okay, we're gonna have like a hoodie because that was what was planned.
Yeah.
And then like you and Varun bring in loads of like packages and stuff. And I was wondering like what's going on, man. These guys are talking. Everybody in the team is wondering what are they both doing, inside the tent.
Yeah.
And like what's happening?
Mm.
And after a while, they plan things. We shoot the video, and then the merch starts to come out. And we're like,
Yeah.
hoodies. Okay, yes. Okay, it's not just the hoodie, something else, the calendar, and then the mug. And then, we just we can talk about it for hours. But yeah, let's keep it here for now. Yeah, here's the merch, guys. By the way, if you haven't seen it, this is the NEM mug,
Yeah.
right? And then there's plenty of stuff, but then we could probably show it later. I think. Yeah. Or maybe in the other podcast.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
we're probably going to see
Yeah.
everything at some point. And
Right.
that's the beauty of it, right? Because you care about the team so much, you
Mhm.
want to do stuff for the team. And
Right.
everyone pitched in. Like, it was, honestly, it was really touching to see everyone
Mhm.
pitch in some way or form,
Yeah.
And no one was like, took it as a burden. Like, I know
Mhm.
people put in a lot of extra hours also trying to get this done.
Right.
But that also makes a difference in work. I don't know for
Mhm.
you, but at least for me,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I need to do well, not for myself. I need to
Mhm.
do well for the team. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not just delivering for the client.
Yeah.
I'm delivering now. I'm representing,
Mhm.
a whole group of people
Yeah.
who care about me, who love me,
Yeah.
and then I need to do that as well,
Mhm.
right? So how would you, like, even from the technical side of things also,
Yeah.
just coming back to what we were
Sure,
discussing
sure.
about
Yeah,
earlier,
yeah.
right?
Absolutely,
And just so that it's a little,
Mhm.
like, just giving value nuggets
yeah.
for people probably
Right,
to
right.
kind of get there.
Yeah.
How would you deal with that? Because you are getting subpar, let's say you're getting subpar audio, for example.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get there? Like, to get to a point where it's like acceptable, where the
Mhm.
entire team says that, okay, I'm proud to call this a podcast that we've worked
Mhm.
on, kind of, because we've had a lot of back and forth, like you'll remember,
Yeah.
a lot of back and forth, like, hey, this doesn't
Yeah,
sound
we
like,
did
okay,
that,
this
that.
sounds like, there's
Yeah.
something wrong about
Yeah.
this, and so how have you gone about kind of that?
Right, sure. So I think first of all, you need to aspire for more, and you shouldn't just be satisfied with like, this sounds okay,
Mm.
let's end it. Let's not do that. I mean, that's not the work culture at NEM at all since the beginning, because we've always been aspiring for like the higher stuff and higher than the higher. So even like just as we discussed, when the audio would be like shitty at times, we would still try to figure things out, right? Like where we would try out things like some resources that's for free in the
Right.
internet, right? For example, Adobe Minance, we would put our audio into that. Not just that, but there were like massive like amount of tools that we tried before landing upon one.
Yep.
So we would try that, and I think you have a huge hand in it, because since you're more like an internet guy, you do the website, everything. Not just that, I'm not like labeling it that.
No,
But
that's
coming
very
back
good.
to the point, since you're more friendly with the internet and everything, that's
I like that.
online.
Friendly with the
Yeah,
internet.
so our friendly neighborhood, but with the internet. Yeah, I take that back. I'm sorry. So
No,
anyway,
okay.
getting back to the point. So yeah, I mean, you came up with like suggestions like, Aryan, why don't you try this? And we tried so many tools, softwares, and stuff like that. And then like out of those, some of them worked out. We used them, and even from those, we chose something that really worked for us. And then we started to use those resources that are for free. But people don't look for it, right? That's the thing. I mean, everyone can do anything, but then it's just people don't want to put in the effort.
True.
But yeah, coming back to my point, so we would take the audio from Adobe Minance, we would put it inside a DAW, and then try out different versions of things. Like one maybe with just normal audio, one maybe with like things where we've tried. Like harder, trying to blend things here and there, and trying out different options and elements out there. And I think we always had an internal meeting where we would talk about, you want to go with this or you want to go with that. We would have back and forth, just as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then once we are sure about the options, we would send the client the options as well.
Yeah.
Like maybe not a lot, because we don't want to confuse them, we don't want to overwhelm them, but we would send them like 2 options out of the 5 that we had maybe. But then I think a lot of precise aim, or like a lot of precise a lot of work went into it before landing where we are right now. So that's how it has been with NEM, and that's how it has been with us, because we try and we try to achieve more than what is possible at times, I think.
True.
Because
Very true.
that's been there. I don't want to get into that, but I think we've
Yeah.
done that with a lot of things.
Yeah. Like even if just the documentary
yeah.
that came out recently,
Right.
that we worked on recently, right? I mean, the audio for that, if you listen to the
Yeah.
original versus
Mhm.
the final audio,
Yeah.
there's a world of it's not about you, it's a universe of difference,
Right.
right? And that I don't think most people would have gotten
Mhm.
there, right? Where
Yeah.
it's you guys who worked on it and
Yeah.
got
I mean,
there.
kudos to Cyril as well, because he was working until nights,
Yeah.
trying to figure things
That's
out.
good. I mean, you were working on it as well, getting the composition done
Yeah,
and coordinating
but
all of these
it was
things.
it was teamwork in the
yeah,
end.
yeah, true. But-
Synergy.
Yeah. And it comes down to this, right? You can't give the client something that's subpar. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to give them the best. You
Mhm.
you want to give them the best, rather.
Obviously,
right?
obviously.
So-
And that's been the goal, I think, because we were never like, oh, let's send them this for now, because I think we've always aspired for more. Even when we are like dead tired, I remember, like sitting up with Cyril for nights, because we didn't want to send anything. We wanted to send them something that is good.
Mm.
So we'd always been aspiring for, like more than what we can achieve as always. And that's been the mindset, at least for me. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm smiling because I remember like times where I would
Yeah.
come like, "Aryan, we need to send. You're
Right,
like, just
right,
I'm just checking. I'm
right.
just checking. Like, hang on, times like that.
yeah.
But I guess that's what got us here,
Mhm.
and that's why people sometimes listen to other podcasts we work on and be
Mhm.
like, hey, who worked on this? Let's have a
Yeah.
chat, kind of,
Yeah.
that way. So I think that's the biggest thing
Yeah.
is you care about the team and you do good
Yeah.
work, and it's been a genuine pleasure working with
Right.
everyone.
Absolutely,
Getting to know
absolutely.
you, knowing you as a
The
friend,
same
and then
way,
knowing you
yeah.
as a professional as well.
Yeah.
It's been. I don't think
Yeah.
it's been awkward, at least my perspective.
It's
but
not been
yeah.
awkward, man. I mean, what I believe is, even if it's awkward, just digest it, shake hands. And at the end of the day, I mean, like, even within a team or without a team, just what do we call it? Settle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right?
I think we'll settle this episode here.
absolutely.
Right. So like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. No need to
Right.
keep telling everyone
Mhm.
the same thing, but definitely follow us
Yeah.
for more. Honestly, thanks for sharing your perspective. It's always
welcome.
nice learning from you and getting to
same
hear
here.
your things
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, thank you.